What's up, Control Freaks, and welcome back to the Control Freak Podcast. I am your host, Alex Blackard, and today I have on an amazing guest, Adam Cohen, to break down March of the Machines Aftermath. We're going to be talking about all 50 cards. I'm super stoked. Adam, how goes
Alex,
it?
how you doing?
I'm pretty good. Getting over a bit of a cold, and it's kind of running through my house right now. But we'll be all right. Other than that, I'm pretty good. How about you?
Doing the same here. You can probably hear it in my voice, but
Yeah.
We're alive, we're kicking, and we're talking about Magic.
Absolutely, it can't be too bad of a day when we get to do this. So,
Exactly.
yeah. Before we hop into all the fun cards from Aftermath, let's do a little housekeeping. There were no new patrons this week, but that's okay. And if you would like to support the content directly, you can head on over to patreon.com/LessAlex. And for less than $1 an episode, you can help support the content. Every single patron will receive an awesome Control Freak sticker, along with other perks based on the level you support at, and including if you want to support at the Teferi level, you can get a gameplay video and a stream and deck tech. So check that out if you're interested. Patrons, all my patrons are amazing. Thank you all so much. And but also, as a reminder, the podcast can be found on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Podbean, Stitcher, basically wherever you listen to podcasts. Additionally, we are streaming this live on Facebook, Twitch, and YouTube. So go check those out. If you're watching on any of those platforms, make sure to like and subscribe. Additionally, make sure to head on over to Apple Podcasts if you want to support in a very free way. You can head on over there, give a 5-star review and just a couple of kind words about why you like the podcast, or head on over to Spotify, give a 5-star review. And it really helps the algorithm, and that's the best way you can support the content other than just liking and watching every week. All right. We have 50 cards. We got, this is a small set, but for what we usually do, we don't typically talk about all the cards in a set. So we are doing that today, though. So let's not waste any more time. Let's hop into this one, starting with the very first card. Here on Goldfish, we have Calyx, Guided by Fate. This is a 3-mana 2/2. So basically the shtick, I guess we should talk about the shtick of this set for those that don't know. All the planeswalkers in this set have lost their sparks, making them legendary creatures. So you'll see a ton of familiar faces here, but instead of being planeswalkers, they are now legendary creatures because the War of New Phyrexia, whatever you want to call it, everybody lost their sparks. Well, not everybody, but all these folks did.
So basically, there's that card from what was it? One where you have Elspeth blowing everything up, and she takes the LessAlex, goes into like the the space between the planes. She makes Swiss cheese.
Blind Eternities, yeah.
That's it. Yeah, she makes Swiss cheese of the Blind Eternities, and so the multiverse is like, I need that spark. I need that spark. Put them on like Band-Aids. So a lot of our planeswalker friends lose their sparks. Some still have them, but overwhelmingly, basically every character we know is downgraded to a creature.
Yep, and a lot of planeswalkers here, a lot of just great characters that I guess are going to be bound to their home planes, or actually not even their home planes in some instances. Some instances, it's just the plane that they happen to be on whenever this calamity happens. So
there are these things called omen paths. So like the in Kaldheim, the way that they travel between the different like factions, that's what Realmbreaker left between the planes. So like they can travel between them, but it's like a door that may open or close at like random times. It might be huge, it might be tiny. So like you can get from A to B, but it's going to be really, really hard. And so someone like Engrath, whose whole shtick is like, I need to go back home and I can't, is going to be a struggle.
Oh, man. Well, that's the gist of the lore behind it and why we're seeing all these planeswalkers desparked. Each of the cards that you see on screen These are all former Planeswalkers, and they have a cool watermark that shows the Planeswalker logo, but with like a little lightning bolt in the middle of it, showing that I guess these Planeswalkers are all desparked. So, kind of cool. So let's jump in. Like I said, Calyx, Guided by Fate, 3 mana, 2/2. It is 3 and Selesnya colors as Constellation, and I love that we have so many mechanics in this set. It's jam-packed full of mechanics. So we've got Constellation. Whenever Calyx, Guided by Fate or another enchantment enters the battlefield under your control, put a +1/+1 counter on target creature. Whenever Calyx or an enchanted creature you control deals combat damage to a player, you may create a token that's a copy of a non-legendary enchantment you control. Do this only once each turn. Whew. These cards are super wordy too. So
I don't think it's going to see competitive play anyway.
Yeah, I don't think it's going to see competitive play, but it is sweet for any Enchantress style deck. You know, it is currently sitting at $8, which is the absolute lowest of all of the mythics in this set. So if that tells you, kind of gauges where folks think this is going to land. But I know this does have a home in obviously Commander, but yeah, I don't really see it for this one.
That Enchantress deck in Standard, the green, white, or Naya version, is that still that didn't rotate, right?
I don't think so. It's not as prevalent.
Yeah.
And you know, we were talking about the Pro Tour. I think there was a couple people playing it, but I don't think anyone did great with it. So
yeah. I know Sam Borg won a challenge a couple weeks ago with that build, but I haven't seen much come from it as of late. Well, we'll see how it goes. 3 mana is a little expensive, but
yeah,
Calyx is a cool character. Wish we saw more of him when he had his spark.
Yeah, and all of his Planeswalker cards were kind of a little underwhelming too. I like to see each character get at least one solid Walker card. Although who knows what we're going to be doing. I mean, I'm assuming we're not just abandoning Planeswalker cards as a type. It doesn't make sense to introduce battles and then abandon Planeswalkers the very next set. So
we got we got confirmation that Ashiok is going to be in the next set, and
it's a
and they're a Planeswalker.
Oh, awesome. Cool. Yeah. I did not know that. So moving on here, we have Karn Legacy Reforged. The art is really awesome. Half of his body is like blown up essentially. And
the Hex Gold.
Yeah, that's so cool. Yeah. It's a 5 mana mythic star power and toughness, legendary creature. Karn, its power and toughness is equal to the greatest mana value among artifacts you control. And then it has, at the beginning of your upkeep, add colorless for each artifact you control. This mana can't be spent to cast non-artifact spells. I think that's super convoluted the way they said that. But anyway.
It's Power Stone text, basically.
Yep. and then it also has, until the end of the turn, you don't lose the mana as steps and phases end. Couldn't they have just said, though, this mana can only be used to cast artifact spells?
No, because it can work on activated abilities.
Oh, fair enough.
So, and you can also like pay a mana leak for it or with it.
That's fair.
So Karn is a baseline 5/5, which is not bad. The interesting thing is if you have something like Metalwork Colossus, which is a card that costs less for each, or for the total combined mana value of non-token artifacts, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or it might, no, just mana value of artifacts. Yeah. So Karn can basically curve into, what is an 11/11?
Pretty days.
Yeah.
Yeah. This is of note. This is the most expensive card in the set. Regular treatment card in the entire set, sitting right now at $23.98. I don't know. Use that information. Take that with a grain of salt. But I don't know. Tron,
probably Commander.
Yeah, Tron probably doesn't want this or anything like that. But yeah, Commander for sure. This would be a really sweet colorless artifact commander. I'm not a big commander player, but seems cool. And Karn's obviously a sick character, even though I hate literally all of his cards. But the character though is awesome.
Yeah.
All right, so that's Karn. Again, I don't think it's going to see you play in the formats we care about too much, like Modern, Explorer, Pioneer. But moving on to Kiora, Sovereign of the Deep. This is a 5-mana, 4/5 Merfolk Noble Mythic. Vigilance with Ward 3. Ward 3 is a lot of ward. That's quite chunky. It has the ability of whenever you cast a Kraken, Leviathan, Octopus, Serpent, or Serpent spell from your hand, look at the top X cards of your library where X is the spell's mana value. You may cast a spell with mana value less than X from among them without paying its cost. Put the rest on the bottom of your library in a random order. Whew.
I don't know how many Krakens, Leviathans, or Octopi or Serpents that are going to be competitively viable, but Changeling.
Yeah, Changelings.
This is a secret Changeling card, especially the tribal ones, like the +3, -3. Or like card swap.
Yeah. But
at 5 mana it's not doing anything.
5 mana, Ward 3 is nice, and Vigilance having a big butt is really sick, but yeah, I don't really buy this card in any constructed 60 card format at least.
Yeah.
I promise there are good cards in this set. It's not just like, oh, this card's not good enough. we'll get to them. Nahiri.
Coming up.
Yeah. Nahiri, Forged in Fury, 6 mana, Boros, 5/4 Mythic, affinity for equipment. And then it has whenever equipped creature you control attacks, exile the top card of your library. You may play that card this turn. You may cast equipment spells this way without paying their mana cost. 6 mana is a ton.
Even if you're reducing it, you're probably still paying 4, probably.
Even if you're reducing it, because you're never really. I mean, how many times do you have 4 artifacts on the battle, or enchantment? I'm sorry,
equipment,
4 equipment on the board? Never, right? Unless it's a commander. This is a sick commander card, but
you could play Bone Saws and do the affinity thing with all your effectively your Mem Knights, but I don't think that it's
not really
it. If we're going with actual equipment that you want, you're probably getting if we're being generous here, this is going to cost 3 to 4 mana at any given point. So a 5/4 for 3/4 mana is about where you would expect, but you're still jumping through a bunch of hoops.
And if you're doing Bonesaw and Memnite things, why aren't we just Paradoxical Outcoming? That's, to me, I mean, I'm a blue player, but that seems way better to me.
Yeah.
So yeah, sweet, excellent equipment commander, but again, I just don't think it's going to see play in 60 card.
This is a commander product.
Yeah. Well, next up, we have Narset Enlightened Exile. This is a card I really like. I don't know because of its restrictive mana cost if it's going to be able to get there. But so Narset Enlightened Exile, 4 mana with Jeskai colors. Mythic 3/4. Creatures you control have prowess. That includes Narset. I do want to make that clear. And whenever it attacks, exile target non-creature, non-land card with mana value less than Narset's power from a graveyard and copy it. You may cast the copy without paying its mana cost. Whoo! Dreadhorde Arcanist would like to have a chat, but no, this card seems sick. I mean, the ability is nuts. I don't know if, 4 mana is quite a bit, especially for Modern, but even for Pioneer, 4 mana is quite a bit. I don't know. What are your thoughts on Narset?
So we've seen a handful of cards that functionally grant prowess style effects. There's the 1/3 from Dominaria United. That's pretty good. But that was a 2 mana creature. But this gives everything an instance of prowess, including itself. So you can heavily upgrade the cards you're flashing back. If you have a creature that already has prowess, this kind of just starts to pop off. I don't think this is a 60 card, but it's possible there might be some sort of combo element to it. 4
Yeah.
mana, 3/4 prowess is probably not where I want to be for an aggressive deck, but this might pop off with like an 8 PZ deck.
I agree. Yeah, so that's exactly what I was about to say. I think that I want to try this in the Pyromancer build. Obviously, you're going to have to stretch the mana a little bit, which isn't great because it's an aggro deck. So anything, I mean, when you're adding the Jeskai Triomes to that deck, that seems pretty rough. I think you might have to go with, City of Brasses. But yeah, I want to try it. I'll definitely be playing this on stream because I love Narset as a character. Obviously, Narset Parter of Veils is one of my favorite card, and Narset's just a sweet character. And the fact that in story now she's kind of been exiled from her people on Tarkir is really awesome. So
Also kind of cool to note. So like we're gonna see on the next line, Sarkhan's also in the set without a spark.
yeah.
We have no more Tarkirian planeswalkers.
Yeah. Unless
Ugin's trapped in the Shadow Realm with Nicol Bolas forever. So we have literally no one representing that plane anymore. That's going to be interesting.
Yeah. So moving on, we have one that a lot of people are talking about. This is kind of the most talked about card in the set from a 60 card format, I think. We have Nissa, Resurgent Animist. So this is 3 mana, 2 and a green, mythic, 3/3. It has landfall. Whenever a land enters the battlefield under your control, add 1 mana of any color. Then, if this is the second time this ability has resolved this turn, reveal cards from the top of your library until you reveal an elf or elemental card. Put that card into your hand and the rest on the bottom in a random order. Whew. Man, all these cards just have a wall of text. But yeah, this card's really sweet. Yeah, it's a 3 mana Lotus Cobra that can actually do battle. And then, obviously an Elf Ball. I definitely want to try this. I played the green-black elf deck on stream, and it was really sweet. The problem with it is, like, you need to find the Lord. Obviously, this helps you do that, but I don't know. What do you think about Nissa Resurgent Animist?
So let me just double check. When land is above you, and then if this, okay, so I think you get the mana for both triggers no matter what, right? So
I believe so. Yeah.
You have Nissa, you crack a fetch, you have functionally 3 mana available, and you draw a card. So you're either going to find, if you're in the elemental build, so you're like Risen Reef, your Omnath deck.
Yeah.
You can then cast Risen Reef or Omnath or Endurance, whatever, or even Solid. If you're in the elf deck, this is giving you a minimum two free mana, 3 mana total to cast whatever elf that you find. So if that's your 2 mana lords, for example, you're in really, really good shape. This is functionally a 4-drop because you're not going to play this on 3 very often.
Right.
Being able to immediately just give you card advantage is so good.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like it. Obviously, I'm not much of a green player, but I do like me a good elf deck, so I'll be definitely trying elves out with this. Moving on though to this card is going to anger me, I think, because Obnixilis Captive Kingpin is a 4 mana 4/3 mythic flying trample. Whenever 1 or more opponents each lose exactly 1 life, put a +1/+1 counter on it. Exile the top card of your library until your next end step. You may play that card. Cat Oven absolutely loves this card. Oh, I hate that deck so much. Are there any other applications in 60 card formats other than
Anvil?
Oh my god! I mean that's the same BS. Yeah.
So this is basically Corvold, but it's a colorless, it's a mana less. It works when your opponent cracks their fetch land, for example.
Yeah.
This card's very good, though. I do have a question for you.
God.
So
I hate this card already.
Obnix has flying, and of the 8 variants of this card that are in this product, every single one of them have him sitting in a chair. Does the chair fly with him? is the
I mean,
question.
it has to, right?
Yeah.
That's so funny. Yeah, it is flample, which I never understand why you need to give anything flample, especially something that grows like this, but sure. No, this card's going to be sweet. Like you said, Cat Oven, Shenanigans, Mayhem Devil, Oni Cult, Anvil, all that nonsense. That is the most annoying deck on the ladder in Explorer and Historic. Mono green, whatever, that's a thing. But I've accepted that deck as a deck. However, I hate getting pinged to death. It's just so annoying because they just loop the cats and oh my gosh, this is going to be annoying. I hate this card already.
I think it's one of the strongest cards in this product.
Yeah, it's real good.
Yeah.
Man, Omnixilus is a sweet character too that I don't like this card though.
I do love that this is the second time that he has lost the spark.
Yeah, man. I saw a meme on YouTube or on Twitter that was like, losing your spark twice. Weird that it happened.
If I had a nickel for each time,
yeah, I'd have two. Yeah.
My favorite. It reminded me of the. So we got the new Paulo Kratos card.
Yep.
The flavor text is like, he died and he was sad, and he came back, he was happy, and then he died again.
Poor guy.
And then we got Samut.
Yeah, Samut, Vizier of Naktamun. 3 mana, 2/3. It's Gruul colors in 1. First strike, vigilance, haste. Whew, that's a beater. Whenever a creature you control deals combat damage to a player, if that creature entered the battlefield this turn, draw a card. So this works really well with creatures with haste.
It only works with creatures with haste.
Yeah. But I don't know. I think this is fine. I don't know. I'm not too excited about this.
It works with Najila, and that's a commander thing, and that's about it.
Okay. Yeah, I'm not the go-to for commander, that's for sure. Yeah, I don't know. This is sweet, I guess, if you are into attacking with hasty dudes. I am not.
Yeah.
Moving on.
I don't think this card's going to see any competitive play.
Moving on, we have Sarkhan, Soul Aflame. This is a 3 mana 2/4. It's Izzet 1. Dragon spells you cast cost 1 less to cast. And whenever a dragon enters the battlefield under your control, you may have Sarkhan become a copy of it until the end of turn, except its name is Sarkhan, Soul of Flame, and it's legendary in addition to its other types. So this card's sweet. I will say that.
Cost reduction is good. I don't think that this card is.
Yeah. I do want to try. I tried the Jeskai Dragons list in Pioneer. It was extremely mid. There was just, you weren't doing a whole lot during the mid turns. This might help it though, to be honest, but I'll give it a crack. And yeah, I don't know. This card's fine.
Bodies is not bad. It'll presumably survive to be able to untap. I just don't know if it's doing enough to warrant the card.
I don't think we're doing, I don't think we're winning any, 5Ks with this, but
yeah,
it'll be fun to brew around for sure. Moving on to Tyvar the Bellicose. This is a 4 mana, what is this?
Golgari.
Golgari, 5/4, elf warrior. Whenever, this card I actually really dig. Whenever one or more elves you control attack, they gain death touch until end of turn. And then each creature you control has, whenever a mana ability of this creature resolves, put a +1/+1 counter on it equal to the amount of mana this creature produced. This ability only triggers once per turn. Again, in Golgari Elves, I think this could see a home. Is 4 mana too much? Probably. Yeah. But I definitely want to try it. Again, kind of the same with Nissa. Getting your mana dorks to not be just little piddly 1/1s is pretty sweet, though.
One of the, I think it was Todd Anderson that was talking about this, and his biggest gripe, which I very much agree with, this should have backloaded, so the things that tap to cast this should have gotten the buff too. I think that would
Oh,
have been the
yeah, that would have
difference
been.
in playability for this card. If like it basically convoked and put a 1/1 counter on everything,
Yeah.
then I would be a little bit higher on it.
Yeah, because you have to wait till the next turn to actually start buffing your dudes. That makes yeah.
Or like you cast this and then you tap out all your mana dorks, and it's like, okay, sure.
Yep. So that's Tyvar. That is all of the Planeswalker, or well, former Planeswalkers. Moving on to the rares now, we've got Arnie Metalbrow, and the art is kind of ridiculous. It's this dwarf, or I don't know.
He was like the broken brow, and now he's the metal brow.
He's got metal things. I guess it's Phyrexian claws or spikes, something hanging out of his head.
Yeah.
He is a 3-mana red and 2, 3/3. Whenever a creature you control attacks or a creature enters the battlefield under your control attacking, you may pay 1 and a red. If you do, you may put a creature card with mana value less than that creature's mana value from your hand onto the battlefield tapped and attacking. Whew, man. I don't know. Mid.
It's
cool.
It gives pseudo haste to your 2-drops basically. It's like it's hard to go wrong with 3-mana 3/3 with upside and standard. I don't know if this sees play outside of that. It is a human. That's not nothing either. Oop, can't hear you. Might be muted. Still can't hear you. There we go.
There we go. Sorry about that. He is a human, not a dwarf, although he does have a big red beard. But he is a human berserker. All right, moving on to Arya's Oathsworn. This is a 2-mana rare 2/2 with menace. So pretty good stats off the rip. It's a human knight, which both of those seem to matter nowadays.
Yeah.
Whenever Arya's Oathsworn deals combat damage to a player, if it has fewer than 4 +1/+1 counters on it, put a +1/+1 counter on it. Then if it has exactly 4 +1/+1 counters, search your library for a card, put it into your hand, then shuffle. I think this card's pretty sweet.
Yeah,
honestly.
this is really good. Especially
2-mana 2/2 with menace. Like, it's just going to get in there and immediately get bigger.
Thalia's Lieutenant. This card's good.
Yeah, I like this card. Kind of making the case for white-black humans maybe in Pioneer to be a thing, because as we'll talk about here in a little bit, there's another card right down there that's pretty decent too. So yeah, I like this card.
White black's kind of become the default color set for Pioneer humans. Like sometimes they splash green.
Yeah.
And like 5-color is still very doable in both Modern and Pioneer. I think this card's very solid.
Yeah, I agree. Moving on, we have Denitha New Benelia's Light. Speaking of humans and knights, we have 3-mana Selesnya and 1 for a human knight 2/2. It has Vigilance, Trample, and Lifelink. Man, Vigilance and Lifelink is so good together. Anyways, once during each of your turns, you may cast an aura or equipment spell from your graveyard. And the art is absolutely gorgeous from Randy Vargas.
Oh, yeah.
It's got like, if you haven't seen it yet, she's standing there with her big broadsword, and in the background, I think, is that her or is that...
That's Gerard, I think.
Gerard, yeah. And like a big, huge cathedral style window with the light shining through. It's beautiful. Anyways, this card's pretty sweet. I don't know. Is this something that the Auras deck in Pioneer would want? It is the right colors.
That deck is probably not looking for a 3-drop that does this.
Yeah.
Light Paws kind of does something similar. That being said, it has good set of keywords. I don't know if it sees play.
Maybe as a fun of.
Yeah.
But still, sweet character, beautiful art, very good, as you said, keywords. So who knows? It could get there. And maybe with all this support for, humans, maybe a humans deck will pop up in standard.
That's possible.
All right, moving on, we have deification. This is an interesting one. So we've got it is a rare one. It's 2 mana, 1 and a white enchantment. As it enters the battlefield, choose a planeswalker type. And what that means is you get to choose basically a name. So Jace, Gideon, whatever. Planeswalkers you control of the chosen type have hexproof. I like that. As long as you could. What's that?
You can't name the Wanderer.
Oh my, you can't, because it doesn't have a type. That's hilarious. As long as you control a creature, if damage dealt to a planeswalker you control of the chosen type would result in loyalty counters on it being removed. Instead, all but one of those counters are removed. It's worship for planeswalkers.
Yep.
Just
Gideonification.
Yes. So your Gideon tribal deck just got better in modern. You can try this obviously in standard and in Pioneer. It's gonna be sweet. I don't know how legit it is, but what are your thoughts?
I think it's comparable to that, like Solemnity 9 live.
Oh yeah.
It's going to be harder to actually like assemble the combo, but it
Right.
costs a little bit less if you do A+B. Notably, though, the art for all the different versions of this card are basically Elspeth becoming a god on Theros.
Oh wow, really?
Yeah, and we know from I think it was the Afara card. All 5 of the monocolored gods became Phyrexian. So
Wow.
they have some room for new gods. Let's put it that way.
That's
So that's
awesome.
gonna be neat.
Heck yeah.
I really like this set, kind of like, since we finished off our last like big bad, it's putting on the new ones, or like lining things up for where this can go.
Oh yeah. So that's deification. Next up, we have Dranith Ruins. This is a land rare. You can tap it to add colorless, or you can tap 2 and tap it to put 2+1/+1 counters on target non-human creature that entered the battlefield this turn. It's pretty good. I like it.
Yeah, a little expensive. You're basically paying 3 mana on top of whatever the creature costs to make it a little bit better.
Mm-hmm.
So like, yeah, it should be fine. I don't think it's going to see much play.
Yeah, I could see this again popping up maybe in a standard deck, but in terms of like flavor wise and everything, I like it. It makes sense. The art's great, and the art on the special, whatever they call this treatment, showcase treatment, is really sick.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
It's got they're on where is this? Ikoria. Yeah. And it's super sick.
It's got the same art style too as like the like Ketria Triome.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
All right. Moving on, we have Jarina Dauntless General. This is white and black, human soldier, 2/2. When it enters the battlefield, exile target player's graveyard. Off the rip, pretty solid.
Yeah.
And then you can sacrifice it to creature humans you control gain hexproof and indestructible until end of turn. Pretty strong card, in my opinion.
Humans is already playing Selfless Spirit. This is Selfless Spirit that's also human.
Yeah, right.
Getting to eat the graveyard for basically free, being able to do that off a collected company at instant speed or off an Aether Vial. This is a lock for every humans deck.
Yeah, right. This is sweet. I do wonder, in Pioneer, I think the go-to is still just mono white, but with this and with Arya's Oathsworn, I mean, there's a lot of good black cards.
It's also legendary, which is nice. So you can put it in that like Esper Legends deck with Plaza of Heroes.
Oh my god, yeah. Very true.
Like Reanimator's a really popular archetype in standard at the moment. So
absolutely,
it's basically a freebie.
Yeah, I think this card's sweet. Again, the art, I mean, Magic the Gathering art at this point is just like next level and just has the best fantasy art artists on the planet working on it. So, you know, we've come to expect it, but still some pieces still stick out. And I mean, things like Danarith and even this card, just really great.
And Rena is Luca's ex-fiance and the daughter of General Kudrow, the last black-white human legend.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
I did not know that.
So the abilities are a nice callback to him.
Absolutely.
He's a human lord that can eat graveyards.
Heck yeah.
Yeah.
So moving on, we have Jor-El, Voice of Zulfir. This is a 4-mana, 2 and green blue for a 3/3 human druid. That's a human? Okay. At the beginning of, it looks like a merfolk. Anyways, at the beginning of combat on your turn, up to one target land you control becomes an XX green and blue bird creature with flying and haste until the end of turn, where X is the number of cards in your hand. It's still a land. But wait, there's more. Whenever a land creature you control deals combat damage to a player, draw a card. They just had to put that last one. I mean, let's juice this card full of value. 4 mana, quite a bit. I don't know. It's fine.
Yeah, I don't think this card is 60 card play. I think it's cool. I think that Jor-El's a really awesome character. Don't think that this card's doing much of anything.
Yeah. All right. On to the next. This card's pretty sweet. Has potential to do some wild things. I don't know if it's going to see play, but Leyline Immersion is a 4 mana, 3 and green enchantment RL rare. Enchant legendary creature. Enchanted creature has ward 2 and tap it to add 5 mana of any combination of colors. Spend this mana to cast spells.
You know how Rona just got printed and Rona untaps when you cast a legendary spell?
Yep.
You know what really does a good job casting legendary spells? 5 mana in any combination of your choice.
Yeah, right.
I think that's the 1-2 punch that this card's supposed to do. I don't know if it's...
That's the rub here, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's sweet. I think, you know, Ward 2 is pretty nice, and obviously the mana ability is sick, but yeah, I don't know. We shall see. The art's amazing. Again, I'm just keep saying that, but moving on, we have Metropolis Reformer. This is a 3 mana, 2 colorless, or 2 and white for a 2/3 creature, Angel Cleric, Flying Vigilance. You have hexproof. Whenever it is dealt damage, you gain that much life. Whew.
It's an angel, it's a cleric. Those are important.
Yeah.
Types. Stat line not really all that special.
Yeah, I mean, you have hexproof is an interesting sentence, but yeah, I mean, does the Angel deck in Pioneer really want this? Is the Angel deck in Pioneer even still a deck at this point? I don't know. I haven't even ran into it in Explorer much anymore, but yeah, I don't know. This card's fine.
Yeah, I think it goes a little under the mark.
Yeah, I agree. Nahiri's Resolve, 5 mana for 3 red white enchantment. Creatures you control have +1/+0 and have haste. At the beginning of your end step, exile any number of non-token artifact and or creatures you control. Return those cards to the battlefield under their owner's control at the beginning of your next upkeep. Whew. These are just so long. Thoughts on Nahiri's Resolve?
A little expensive, but it works really well with the 4 Mirrodin cards.
For Mirrodin.
So like
for Mirrodin.
So like each one makes a token when it comes in. So you're able to keep the tokens around, blink all the equipment, and then make new tokens. Everything's going to have haste. I think that it does like 2 very like distinct things. And for the blink decks, the ones that want like Thassa Deep Dwelling and Transportation Circle, this blinks as many as you want as opposed to only blinking 1.
Right.
So like it does a lot of really cool stuff. It's 5 mana, but it does a lot of really cool stuff.
Yep. Expensive, but does cool stuff. We'll have to see. Keep an eye on it. I don't know. Zendikar is my home is the quote. from Nahiri on it. Moving on, we have Nashi Moon's Legacy. Nashi, if you are unaware, is actually Tamio's son. So the art is really cool. It's got Nashi rebuilding the scrolls and trying, I guess, getting her memory back. Is he trying to like rebuild her, basically? I don't know.
When Tamio died, she basically had like a Force ghost show up. That's like, cool. Hi, I love you. I'm sorry. You're my only hope. Yada yada yada. So Nashi's basically
help me, Nashi. You're my only hope. All right, so this is black, green, blue for a 3/4 legendary creature, rat, shaman, rare, menace, and ward 1. Whenever it attacks, exile up to 1 target legendary or rat card from your graveyard and copy it. You may cast the copy. You do have to pay for the mana, or you do have to pay the mana for it, but I don't know. This is cool. I love the story behind it. I don't know how great this card's going to be in 60 card format. So
what was the name of the Abzan, what was it, 3/4 or whatever, the one that's banned in Pioneer?
Kethis. I love that card.
Yeah, this reminds me a little bit of Kethis to like a much more gated extent, but it's possible it's good enough. Ward 1 is just annoying of a cost on a 3.
Yeah, it is.
Like we've seen that with Rafine. And 4 toughness is it basically gets it so it can do at least 1 attack usually. Similar to Rafine. So I think it's good.
You do? Okay.
It works. I mean, it works well with the Esper Legends deck again. Like the green can be paid through Plaza of Heroes.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I think just, man, Kethis was so... I wish they would unban Kethis just to let me get one more crack at that deck, because that deck was awesome. All right, moving on, we have a fun one. This is Niv Mizzet Supreme. So Hype Beast, get ready. This is Wooburg for legendary creature dragon avatar 5/5. It has flying and hexproof from monocolored. Each instant and sorcery spell you card in your graveyard that's exactly 2 colors has jump start. This card's sweet. And we were talking before the show started, if you want to explain why this card is so sweet.
So there's already the Niv Mizzet deck in Pioneer, the Bring to Light shell. So that deck worked by playing Bring to Light, which could basically find your Niv Mizzet or whatever exact like tutorable thing you want at that moment.
Yeah.
Niv Mizzet Supreme can be found off of the Bring to Light and then can jumpstart and recast Bring to Light from your graveyard. So it's insane value to have access to some of your best spells with a relatively low deck building cost. And hexproof from monocolor means it's probably not dying under most circumstances. I think Dreadbore is basically the only card that sees significant play that can kill this.
Hey, Teferi Kentucket.
Teferi Kentucket after it's already done
its thing, yeah.
And also, like, you can flashback a Dovin's Veto with this.
Oh my god.
Like, this is really good.
Yeah, this card's sick. I love the art is awesome. Niv Mizzet is one of my favorite characters. I have a Niv Mizzet Perun commander deck. So yeah, I mean, 5 mana. This is sick. Man. All right. Enough gushing over Niv Mizzet. Moving on, we have Open the Way. This is XGG for a sorcery rare. X can't be greater than the number of players in the game. Reveal cards from the top of your library until you reveal X land cards. Put those land cards onto the battlefield tapped and the rest on the bottom of your library in a random order. Is this just a commander card? Like
pretty much.
I see that as
like, so you can cast this for X equals 1 or X equals 2 in a normal game.
Yeah.
Which finds you 2 lands off the top. That's your like explosive vegetation style card. So it's still on rate. If you have like a deck that really wants to get out non-basics and you don't necessarily care which, this can be good. It's not good enough for like a Lotus Field deck because you might rip 2 Lotus Fields. Armageddon yourself
and then cry. Yeah.
That said, if like Field of the Dead were legal in the format, it's a good way of like building up on that chain.
Yep. All right, moving on. We got Pia Nalar, Council of Revival. This is red, white, 2/3, legendary creature, human artificer. Thopters you control have haste. Whenever you play a land from exile or cast a spell from exile, create a 1/1 colorless Thopter artifact token with flying. I don't really have much to say. This seems fine.
It doesn't like self-enable, which I really dislike. It works with your like Ren's Resolves and your expressive iterations, but I don't think this card's good.
Nah, they did Pia dirty because her Pia Nalar, what was it? Pia Nalar Renegade or whatever was like a really good card. The mono red one saw a ton of play in Standard and even a little bit in Pioneer when Pioneer first started. So yeah, I don't think this one's where we want to go. Okay, so Plarg and Nasari.
The only people still employed by Strixhaven.
Yeah, right. No joke. 5 mana, so 3 RR for a 5/4 legendary creature Orc Efreet. At the beginning of your upkeep, each player exiles cards from the top of their libraries until they exile a non-land card. An opponent chooses a non-land card exiled this way. You may cast up to 2 spells from among the other cards exiled this way without paying their mana costs. It's kind of like Gifts Ungiven. Kind of.
Yeah. So like this is another card that is designed for Commander that they just put in this.
Yeah.
It reminds me of the first 4 mana card, the one that's like exile your top 2 cards, your opponent gets 1.
Yeah.
So you get the worst of the top 2 cards of both players' decks. If you're in a Commander game, you're going to basically get 3 spells instead of 1.
Yeah.
I don't think it's good.
Yep. Moving on. We have Rebuild the City. This is a 3 black, red, green sorcery rare. Choose target land. Create 3 tokens that are copies of it, except they're 3/3 creatures in addition to their other types. They have Vigilance and Menace. Is there anything I'm missing with this card, or is this just like fine? This is just like whatever.
It's 6 mana. You get 9 power, which isn't like nothing. It's fine.
Yeah. Okay. I was thinking like, is there a way to do this with Lotus Field? But no, you just again Armageddon yourself. So no, don't want to do that.
Yeah. Like it's a precursor golem with Vigilance and Menace, which isn't like bad. It's 6 mana. So
yeah, the problem is it's 6 mana. I think if it was precursor golem was what, 5?
Yeah.
So I mean, that was like
the 3/3s are a little bit weaker. Like Wonder kills all of them, and these are Vigilance, Menace. At 6 mana and 3 colors, I just don't see this seeing.
Yeah, precursor golem saw some play in Standard. I think because it was colorless and because it was a mana cheaper, and like them killing all the golems or whatever is like fine. But
is there any point where we want to jump up from 6 to 9 mana or 10 mana?
I mean, not me, but I don't know.
Like if we're, I guess, trying to Atraxa, or if we're trying to like Italy, maybe.
Yeah, but there's already more efficient ways to do that, right? Like big score is just like 1 color.
Yeah.
Moving on, we got Rocco Street Chef. This is RG Dub for a 2/4 legendary creature Elf Druid. At the beginning of your end step, each player exiles the top card of their library until the next end step. Each player may play the card they exiled this way. And then it also has, whenever a player plays a land card from exile or casts a spell from exile, put a +1/+1 counter on target creature and create a food token.
Letting both players draw a card is bad.
Yeah.
Stop letting your opponent draw cards for you.
This is just not good. Sorry, Rocco. And Rocco's Modern Life.
Hmm.
We're moving on. Sigarda, Font of Blessings. This is a 4 mana, so 2 G-dub for a 4/4 legendary creature angel. Flying. Other permanents you control have hexproof. You may look at the top card of your library at any time. You may cast angel spells and human spells from the top of your library. This card's pretty sweet. Unlike the Metropolis Reformer, I think this could see play in Pioneer Angels, just because that whole other permanents you control have hexproof is pretty solid, and being able to play the top of your deck is always a good time.
The only issue is that it doesn't work with Collected Company or the Sorcery Speed X Collected Company.
Yeah,
but 4/4 for 4 flying protects your stuff, and you can potentially draw additional cards. This is a lot going for it.
Mm-hmm.
And I think this is probably my favorite version of Sigarda we've gotten.
Yeah, and the art is amazing. And I thinking about this from the other side of the table as a control player, I mean, this is legitimate card advantage. So if you get to untap with Sigarda still on the battlefield, I mean, this is legitimate. So I think this card's pretty decent. Again, that deck's not really seeing much play, but maybe, who knows? Maybe this will be the shot in the arm it needs. So. Moving on, we have Spark Rupture, another very interesting card to do with Planeswalkers. This is 2-dub for an enchantment rare. When it enters the battlefield, draw a card. So off the rip, you're just cantripping. That's decent. Each Planeswalker with 1 or more loyalty counters on it loses all abilities and is a creature with power and toughness equal to the number of loyalty counters on it. So this is basically them showing the Planeswalkers losing their sparks and becoming creatures. I mean, 3 mana cantrip, I don't know. This is, I think if this was 1 or 2 mana, we'd be talking.
Yeah.
But 3 mana is just, I don't know.
The fact that the Planeswalkers your opponent plays are not dead draws really makes me not happy.
Yeah, you just play a 5 mana 5/5 Teferi, and that could still just kill you.
What was it? Narset Parlor Veils is just 3 mana 5/5.
Oh my god. Oh yeah, there's the opposite side of this where you could actually just play this with a ton of Planeswalkers. You could play this with oh my gosh, what's the one that mono green plays that untaps all the lands? It's got 7 loyalty to start with or whatever.
Fiora.
Yeah, you could play a 3 mana 7/7. You could do some janky brews. That might actually be a fun deck to try on stream.
I just had to double check. It gets rid of abilities, but did it get rid of static abilities like your Narset they can't draw? It does.
Loses all abilities.
Yeah. So it's not just loses their loyalty abilities, it's all of the text. But if I'm playing a card that's designed to lock out my opponent's Planeswalker, I don't want to give them a undercosted beat stick in the process.
Just play Pithing Needle, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Moving on, Tazari, Stalwart Survivor. Man, Tazari endures, right? This is a 3 mana, 2 and a dub for a human warrior, 3/3. Okay. Each creature you control has tap. Add 1 mana of any of this creature's colors. Spin this mana only to activate this ability of a creature. Activate only if this creature has another activated. What is this card?
So this is worded terribly. It's if you have a creature with an activated ability, it also becomes a mana dwarf.
And then for Wooburg, you can tap and mill 5 cards. Put all creature cards with activated abilities that aren't mana abilities from among the milled cards into your hand. I feel like every Tazari is just word soup.
Yeah. So the gist being all of your creatures with activated abilities become mana dorks, and then you can activate Tazri to dig additional cards. So those other creatures help fuel the dig.
Sure. At least he's not an ally anymore, right?
This is a commander card. It's a neat commander card.
Yeah, it's interesting.
It works really well with Raga Draga, which I may or may not have bought a bunch of.
Oh
But
my god.
this one is each creature you control with a mana ability gets +2/+2. When you attack with a creature with a mana ability, untap it.
Oh my god. Okay.
Yeah, it's mana ability tribal. That's all you really need to know.
All right, moving on. We got a reprint and a pretty sweet reprint.
Yeah.
Training Grounds. This is blue. Enchantment, rare. Activated abilities of creatures you control cost 2 less to activate. This effect can't reduce the mana in that cost to less than 1 mana. This is a good reprint.
It's really expensive.
Yeah, it was like, what, creeping up to like 30, 40 bucks ish. So, I mean, obviously this is a commander card, but I mean, this is a nice reprint.
Now it's new to Pioneer too, which is important.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, oh god, yeah. Effective creatures. Okay, so you can't use this to transform the Phyrexian incubation tokens because they're not creatures yet. But
right.
Oh man, that'd be gas.
I don't know where this goes, but
it's definitely
probably a good thing.
Yeah, this is definitely like a red herring, right? This is something kind of a plant to the future.
I play with Kenrith.
Oh yeah. Sweet card. Anyways, moving on, we've got Tranquil Frillback. This is 2 and a G for a creature dinosaur rare 3/3. Whenever it enters the battlefield, you may pay G up to 3 times. When you pay this cost 1 or more times, choose up to that many of 1, destroy target artifact or enchantment, exile target player's graveyard, or you gain 4 life. Can you pick the same one multiple times?
I don't believe so.
That would be interesting to me.
Yeah, this card's 6 mana for a 3/3 that gained you 12 life. Like, I'd be a little bit higher on it. This card's a worse version of Knight of Autumn.
Yeah.
9 times out of 10, like I don't see a world where you want this anywhere.
Yeah, it's interesting. I like the art. I mean, this is a really sweet looking frillback because we're making up dinosaur names. But interesting. Cool. Moving on. Urborg Scavengers. I love this art. This art is the best. This is so good. You got the guys with they're fine. They're scavengers. They're finding all the Phyrexian parts. This is
they look horrifying.
they're terrifying. It's great though. I love it. Steven Velinoff. Oh man, so good. 2 and black creature 2/2. Whenever it enters the battlefield or attacks, exile target creature card from a graveyard, put a +1/+1 counter on it. And Urborg Scavengers has flying as long as a card exiled with
it's Soul Flare.
Oh.
It's a
it gains, yeah, it gains first strike, a double strike, death touch, blah blah blah. Anyways, yeah, that's sick. This card's sweet.
Yeah. So I've actually been seeing some significant success with Soulflayer and Pioneer. I won an RCQ last month and top 4 in RCQ last weekend. Both of which on the Neoform Atraxa deck, playing 4 copies of Soulflayer. This being additional copies of that effect is really interesting to me. Also not being quite as reliant on the graveyard. Like you can just play this as a 3 mana 2/2 and then build up as you go, as opposed to needing it to front load. This card's it's really interesting having an additional 4 copies of the effect.
Oh yeah, this card's sweet. I love the art, and like you said, being able to just play this out on turn 3 and build it up throughout the game, pretty sick. Moving on, we have Vesuvian Drifter. I'm waiting for an altar to put some like Tokyo Drift art on here.
Ooh, I love that.
So it's 2 and a blue for a 2/4 shapeshifter rare flying. You may look at the top card of your library at any time. At the beginning of each combat, you may reveal the top card of your library. If you reveal a creature card this way, Vesuvian Drifter becomes a copy of that card until the end of turn. Yeah, baby, let's reveal. Let's reveal Emrakul.
So yeah, you reveal Emrakul. You can staff the
Annihilate.
back in a couple different ways. Scheming Symmetry, even.
Heck yeah, I love it.
I think this card's really interesting. It opens up a few different avenues on like combo decks.
Oh yeah,
we just did not have access to before.
Yeah, this is sweet. This could generate a brand new archetype, like you said. So I'm stoked to see some sweet brews with that one. Next up, we have Animus Might 2 and G sorcery. This spell costs 2 less to cast if it targets a legendary creature you control. Target creature you control deals damage equal to twice the power to target creature or planeswalker you don't control.
3 mana fight or bite and cost less if it targets a legend. I don't think this card's playable.
Yep, this is our first uncommon to note. Next up, we have got Blot Out. These are all uncommons now. 2 in black instant. Target opponent exiles a creature or planeswalker they control with the greatest mana value among creatures and planeswalkers they control. Meh. I mean, we're starting to get down to some of the cards we could probably just not even talk about. But
yeah, Blot Out's like another instance of your 3 mana edict effect that each of your opponent's like best thing. We had was it Soul Shatter was like the first one. It was at rare. We got a few more that uncommon. It's a little bit better because it exiles as opposed to sacrifices, and it still gets around like indestructible, hexproof, whatever.
yeah,
I don't think this card sees very much play, if anything.
yeah. Campus Renovation is actually pretty interesting. It's 5, so it's 5 mana, 3 R dub for sorcery. Return up to 1 target artifact or enchantment card from your graveyard to the battlefield. Exile the top 2 cards of your library until the end of the turn. You may play those cards. I want to hit Omniscience off this and return Omniscience to the battlefield. That'd be sick.
Overwhelming Splendor, Omniscience,
yeah,
Phyrexia, wherever that new one was, that triple edict. We had Refurbish at 4 mana, which was basically the same card. This one has a little bit more flexibility, and it does effectively draw you a card in the process. I think that this card is solid. I would not be surprised if it showed up in some sort of like combo.
Absolutely. Sweet. Copper Coat Vanguard. 1 in a dub for a human soldier. 2/2. Each other human you control gets +1/+0 and has ward +1. So yeah, I mean this is sweet. This is everything you want to do in a human deck. You can curve out. It kind of has the Teferi Kosa emblem, except for humans. So yeah.
One of the big things that really hurt the humans deck in Pioneer was Fury.
You mean the modder?
Yeah, just picking off each creature. And so humans like, okay, well, maybe I have to play Unsettled Mariner, which gives everything ward 1. This does that plus a buff. It doesn't protect itself, but 2 mana 2/2 is hard to beat, and you now have additional copies of that effect.
Absolutely.
So, multiple copies of this plus Mariner plus whatever. I think that you get an aggressive edge, which is really, really important.
Heck yeah. This card's sweet. Moving on, Cosmic Rebirth. This is one of the cards we were talking about before the cast. This is colorless G-dub for an instant. Choose target permanent in your graveyard. Any permanent. If the mana value is 3 or less, you may put it onto the battlefield. If you don't put it onto the battlefield, put it into your hand, and then you gain 3 life.
I think this card's insane.
This card's pretty sweet.
So we had, what was it, Pulsar Marasa, which does like a similar thing, gain 6, but this having the option to put whatever you get onto the battlefield. You can pick up a Wasteland and do it again. You can pick up Risen Reef. You can get so many different, like, just really relevant but kind of fragile like engine pieces. The fact that it's green and white means it pitches to Endurance. You can also get back Endurance. It pitches to Solitude. You can also pick up Solitude. There's so much to love about this card, and I think it's really strong.
Yeah, and you could in modern, oh my gosh, I'm blanking on the name. It's like the Black Lotus with Suspend.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, Lotus Bloom. Yeah, you can bring that back. I'm still living in the days of eggs. I love that deck, even though it's not very good anymore. But
you got something cooking there because you can get back to Meshi, you can get back the Lotus Bloom, whichever piece of the combo that might have been disrupted, you can just get back.
yeah, so
This also gets back like Teferi and Ren and 6.
Those cards are good. I like those cards.
Your
All
opponent
right.
goes up your Teferi, then they cast like Outburst. You can respond with
in
this
response.
Teferi.
Oh my god, talk about a blowout. Jeez. Oh, that's hot. All right, moving on. We got Death Rattle Oni. This is 6 and a black for a Demon Spirit 5/4 flash. The spell costs 2 less to cast for each creature that died this turn. When it enters the battlefield, destroy all other creatures that were dealt damage this turn. That's fine.
Yeah, we don't need to talk about this card.
This art is insane. Feast of the Victorious Dead. I don't even know what this card does. I'm going to read it here for the first time. White, black, enchantment. At the beginning of your end step, if one or more creatures died this turn, you gain that much life and distribute that many +1/+1 counters among creatures you control. Oh, that was a letdown.
Yeah.
I thought, oh, this art is insane. This one's actually pretty interesting. So filter out is colorless, blue for an instant. Return all non-creature and non-land permanents to their owner's hand. This works with that combo too.
I think that this works best in Lotus Bloom. Or not Lotus Field. End step, bounce all of their dampening sphere effects, and then just go off. Bounce the Pithing Needles or whatever combination of like permanent based hate cards that they have out. This just gets rid of all of them in one go.
Absolutely. This card's sweet. I don't need to talk about Gold Forge. I don't think.
Each legendary permanent has Ward 2, and it's in Esper colors. It might see play in the standard deck.
Oh yeah.
Like a 1/3 flying lifelinker is not like an irrelevant body. It can pressure a planeswalker, gain a little bit of life. Not like a huge important card, but
yeah. Is this Colgan Warmonger worth anything? Haste whenever. So it's 3 mana, 3/2, 2 in red. Haste whenever it attacks. Look at the top 6 cards. Oh my god. Of your library, you may reveal a dragon card from among them, put it into your hand, put the rest of them on the bottom in a random order. I mean, yeah, I mean, if you're trying to build the dragon deck, it might be
my issue with cards like this is that like for them to be consistent at doing what they're doing, you actively want fewer copies of the card.
That's true.
Each
not a dragon
warmonger that you have, that's one less dragon in the deck to find.
That's very true. It kind of counteracts itself.
We have Orb of Dragonfire, which I don't think is in standard at the moment, but it does a similar thing, and it's a mana dork, effectively 4 dragons. I don't know. I don't think that this card sees play in any format.
Yeah, it's fine. It's fine.
This is good. This is real good.
Markov Baron, 2 and a black for a 2/2 creature vampire noble. It has Convoke and Lifelink, and other vampires you control get +1/+1, and Madness for 2 and a black. I mean, yeah, that's all. It has all the things.
The 2 best vampires right now in Pioneer and Standard both make blood tokens.
Yeah, that's true.
So not only does this basically draw you a card off of the blood token, but you can convoke those 2 creatures.
I think this card's good. I think this card's really sweet. Reckless Handling. Colorless red sorcery. Search your library for an artifact card. Reveal it. Put it into your hand. Shuffle, then put it into your hand. Shuffle, then discard a card at random. If an artifact card was discarded this way, it deals 2 damage to each opponent. It's kind of like a gamble for artifacts.
Yeah. I think it works well if you're trying to like reanimate an artifact, if you're trying to get your Portal of Phyrexia. I don't think you want to get like a Mux, or not Mux Ember. I'm blanking on the card. Mishra's Bauble for your Emery deck. I think that's probably going a little too deep.
Yeah.
But I don't hate it. Like, I think this card has a lot of interesting practical use, and if we get like unearth style artifacts that matter. Oh wait, what about the thing that melds the Mishra? And if you unearth it, you draw
oh
3.
my gosh. Yeah, I forget what it's called, but
Phyrexian Dragon Engine? Yeah. That's all in standard.
So we could do it. We could live the dream.
We could live the dream.
Tolarian Contempt, which I love the name of this card because obviously Tolarian Community College doesn't really work with Wizards at all. So it's hilarious that they made a card named Tolarian Contempt. just a little side note there. This is 5 mana, 3 blue for an enchantment. When it enters the battlefield, put a rejection counter. And like the flavor of it fits so well with the scenario I'm picturing in my mind. Rejection counter on each creature your opponent controls. At the beginning of your end step, for each opponent, choose up to 1 target creature they control with a rejection counter on it. That creature's owner puts it on the bottom of their library.
Top or bottom, so they can redraw it, but
Top or
that
bottom,
would
sure.
basically like deny them their actual normal draw.
Yeah.
I think it's a little too slow at 5 mana.
Yeah, 5 mana is a lot. But still, I love the fact that that's great. Undercity Upheaval 3, so colorless GG sorcery Undergrowth. Distribute X +1/+1 counters among any number of target creatures you control, where X is the number of creature cards in your graveyard as you cast the spell. Creatures you control gain vigilance until end of turn. All right.
If you did a thing that milled your entire deck and you want to one-shot the opponent, sure. I don't think this card does anything.
Yeah, that is the very last card in the set. Overall, there are some pretty interesting cards in this set. I think things like Narset, I will be trying Nissa, Nixless, Tyvar, and like I said, the green-black Elves deck. Arya's Orsworn. Deification will be fun to brew with. Jarina. Here's Resolve. We talked a little bit about potential. Nashi, you really like. Niv Mizzet, we both agree, is pretty nutty. And then Sigarda and Training
I think the big winner
Grounds.
from this set are Humans players.
Yeah. Oh my God. Definitely. Yeah. Oh my gosh. So that is that's the whole kit and caboodle. Yeah. Are you excited about this set?
It's fine. I think it's very fine. I like the like concept of it, like a 50 card, not draftable set, just kind of like a infusion. I think has a lot of practical use if we're looking for like horizons for Pioneer.
Yeah.
Like targeting specific areas that they want to buff up without causing a whole issue. I think having like a 50 card extra set is nice.
Yeah, no, I like the concept. Obviously, the whole leak thing and the Pinkerton nonsense is going to drag down sales of this, because there will people that are going to be in protest of this set just based off that. However, I do, as you said, I do agree with the concept, just kind of giving a nice little shot in the arm to whatever decks they feel it necessary to. And yeah, overall though, I already highlighted some of the cards that I'm excited to brew with. I think that one that I skipped over in my little outro there was the campus renovation. That seems sick. And Cosmic Rebirth. Those both seem really cool. Where can people find you on the internet, Adam?
You can find me on Twitter at Adam E. Cohen and on Twitch at AceX Spades. I stream typically on Sundays, but you can follow me for all the good stuff and some competitive Magic hot takes.
Absolutely. All the good stuff. All right. Well, thank you so much for coming on. I don't know. I like doing these set reviews with you. You always, not only from a gameplay side, you always have a little bit of lore background that you know. So I appreciate you coming on.
Appreciate having me. Let's do it again soon.
absolutely. When's the next set come out?
I think September. We'll find out.
Yeah.
Oh no, Lord of the Rings.
Probably next week if if Wizards has it their way. But as always, thank you for watching or listening. If you're watching on YouTube, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. If you're watching on Twitch, I appreciate you very much for watching live. If you're listening, thank you so much for hanging out with us and listening to this episode. And as always, if you want to support the podcast, you can head on over to patreon.com/LessAlex, where as little as $1 an episode, you can help support the content. That's over at patreon.com/LessAlex, where every Patreon receives a Control Freak sticker and other perks based on the level you support at. And as a reminder, the podcast can be found not only on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch if you want to watch it, but if you want to listen to it, it can be found on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Podbean, Stitcher, basically wherever you listen to podcasts. And if you want to support the content in a free way, head on over to Apple Podcasts, give a 5-star review, say a couple kind words about the cast, and head on over to Spotify and just give a 5-star review. Thank you, everybody, for hanging out with us today. I do appreciate it. And till the next time, keep spreading that Azorius propaganda, Control Freaks. Adios.